The European Union has been accused of preparing its ground for the inevitable blame game following Michel Barnier's offer to extend the Brexit transition period by up to 2 years as bitter trade deal talks with the UK threatened to collapse. Britain officially left the European Union on January 31, with the focus now turning firmly to the trading relationship between the two respective sides during a series of virtual meetings brought on by the current coronavirus pandemic. The UK and EU trade talks in March, led by Boris Johnson's chief Brexit negotiator David Frost and Brussels counterpart Mr Barnier. But talks have descended into chaos, with both sides trading vicious insults over each other's negotiating strategies and demands for what should be included in any future trade deal. Key areas such as the level playing field, state aid, tax and access to the single market all still remain unresolved, with no solution in sight. Tensions have intensified further, with the UK continuing to insist a trade deal must be signed before the end of the transition period on December 31, 2020. Last week, Mr Barnier wrote to the leaders of UK opposition political parties stating the EU is open to the idea of extending the transition period by up to 2 years. The EU and Mr Barnier have now been accused of preparing their ground for a possible blame game with the offer of a delay to the transition period, should trade talks with the UK completely collapse. Commenting on Mr Barnier's letter, Alistair Jones, Associate Professor in Politics and a University Teacher Fellow at De Montfort University, told Express.co.uk, "This is a canny move by Barnier. It is not about getting the UK to stay in the EU but more about trying to retain the relationship between the EU and the UK to enable a deal to be done. If the UK leaves on 31 December 2020 without a deal in place, both the EU and the UK will suffer serious economic harm, the UK far more. A deal will be mutually beneficial. The problem is some issues are phenomenally difficult to resolve, fisheries, environmental standards to name a couple. These could never be resolved in a single year. They interlink with too many other issues. Resolving them is the best way forward, but this takes time.